talk about cards. Hello everybody, welcome to DMNoob.com. My name is Mike, I am the DM Noob. I would like to welcome you to the next video in our series of DM tips and tricks from the noob to the noob. It's a series of videos I put together sharing some of what I have learned as a new dungeon master and some of the things that I bring to the table from my skill set for you that I want to share with you so that you can accentuate your games a little bit more. This video in particular is about sleight of hand and bringing sleight of hand to the table. Dungeons and Dragons is very much a magical game anyway, and so very likely you will run into magicians and conjurers at some point. I have managed to bring sleight of hand to my DM table with great success, and I wanted to share some of that with you. This in particular is about cards and playing cards that have become more common in games. A lot of adventures and a lot of campaigns are now incorporating cards in different fashions. We're about to start the Curse of Strahd for my live group, and the Tarot deck, great deck, not a very high quality one in my opinion, but it is still a full 54 card deck. It's a great one, and I use a lot of the Nord game decks in my playing. But a lot of people will want to use a pack of cards. And so I wanted to bring to you some of the neater things that you could do, simple things like vanishes and things like that. And being able to manipulate a deck of cards to what you need to make the moments more special for your players. We're going to talk about two things in this particular episode, both having to do with cards. One of them is a force. Now, what a force is you have your player or spectator or whatever actually select a card. They think it's a random choice. It is not. They're going to take the card you want them to take. Now, if you think about that for a moment, that leaves a lot of options open as to what you could do at that point. I'm going to give you some real-world examples with things like the Strahd deck for Curse of Strahd. Ways that I'd use that, ways I'd use a regular deck, or God forbid the deck of many things. Different things you can do with different decks, but we're going to use crosscut force. I'm going to show that to you how it works and how to make it work, because a lot of magicians hate it because they say it doesn't work, it's not convincing, it doesn't fool anybody. It can if it's done right. So that's what I want to share with you. It's a very simple way to make sure that your player selects the card that you want them to. While they think it's a completely random choice. So I want to show you how that works. And then I want to show you what's called the Tenkai palm and the Tenkai vanish, which you just saw, and I'm going to go into that. These are things that I've used with great success in my games. And we'll talk more about what we want to do in the future and what types of things that we want to learn together and that I can share with you. Please, comment or get a hold of me and let me know the kind of things you'd like to see. If it's magic related, I've probably done it. So let's chat. Let me know what you want to do. But for now, we're going to go to the card table and we're going to change the camera angle so that you can avoid this bit here. But you can see this awesome of my chest down here and the card mat, which is really what's important. So let's get going on that. So welcome to the table. I wanted to talk to you first, before we get into this, about particularly the deck of cards that you want to use. Now, if you're just starting to learn this, I wanted to talk to you about, don't go to your local dollar store and buy the cheapest deck you can find. It's not going to treat you nice and you're not going to be very happy. Get yourself something decent. Go to Walmart. Get yourself a deck of bikes. I spent most of my life with a deck of cards in my hands, and I got to tell you 9 times out of 10 it was a deck of bikes. Nice deck of bicycle rider backs. My absolute favorite. I love them. You don't necessarily need to get a super expensive deck, but it doesn't hurt. They're kind of fun. But get yourself a nice deck if you're going to practice. That way, you'll be happy. And a lot of times you'll be with decks like this in the game. This is the Taro Ka deck that we're going to talk about in a little bit. It's maybe not the best deck in the world for doing my kind of work. It's designed for what it is, and it's a really nice deck, and I like it a lot. But it's for some of the work we do, it maybe not. But we'll get into this in a little bit. What I wanted to talk to you first about is called the cross-cut force. Now, it was invented by a man named, or at least first published by a man named Max Holden in the Magic Monthly. Yes, it was volume 2, number 10, July 1925. Page 199. Yes, I know where it comes from. But it's a very simple force that a lot of magicians don't really care for because they think it's not convincing enough. I'm going to show you how I work it and how I use it, 2 different flavors of it as well, so that it works for me. And I'm going to give you a real-world example of it using the Taro Ka deck. Now, this is something that will be happening in a future game. Now, I have the Taro Ka deck here, and I have a duplicate of one of them here. Now, this won't be on the table like we're going to put it here. Where this will be is actually taped under the chair of one of my players. And I know who it's going to be because they sit in the same spot every time. And this is going to be a part of their continuing backstory pumping and progression. I love to do that. I'll really dive into backstories. And this is one little step that I'm going to use for that. So this will be under their chair. And we're going to be talking, and I'm going to mix the deck because that's only fair. And then I'm going to have him cut it like that. And then I'm going to take the other half and I'm going to put it there. Then I'm going to continue in a cross like that. Then I'm going to continue on with some story for a few moments, and I'm going to talk about backstory. I'm going to talk about Strahd. I'm going to talk about the deck, and then I'm going to say, okay, let's see where you cut to. And of course, we have the conjurer. Now they reach under the chair as instructed, and lo and behold, it's the conjurer. Now, the way this works, that may have fooled you, may have not. Like I said, you use pattern to distract and make it work. That was simply the bottom card of the deck. And when I shuffled the deck, I just made sure to maintain that bottom card. Really not hard. Or, there's a lot of ways you can do that. Mix the deck and then just back on the bottom. So I've got that there. Then I have him cut, and I cross it thus. Then there has to be a little bit of distraction. You have to take their mind off it for a moment and talk to them, look at them, have them look at you, talk to them back and forth about what's going on. And then let's look where you cut. And you pick up and you show. That's the bottom card of the deck, but they've forgotten that. Now, the other way I can do this is I can have it be the top card of the deck. Same thing. Some people prefer this, those who use it. And I use it like this sometimes as well. Same thing, it's now there. And rather than doing that, now let's look at where you cut. And then, of course, it's the conjurer, which matches up. And this is a really simple force, but it's very effective if you use proper timing, story, misdirection, and have them be distracted away from this deck for just a moment. Then, they cut, story, story, story. Let's look where you cut. Pretty convincing if it's done properly. So I think you can get a lot out of that. It's, again, one of those moments that will accentuate it. We're going to do a lot of those kind of things in this series, but I just wanted to start you off simple with cards with just doing that. Now let's move on to the next one. So not long ago, I was doing one of my live games, and we had a moment where we were just chatting about stuff, and I was fiddling around with a card, and I made it vanish. It was something called the Tenkai palm. Now, a palm is just, it's like it sounds. You're literally just concealing a card, and then you can make it appear in whatever fashion you wish. It's a great tool for card cheats, which was a huge part of my career for many years. But the one in particular that we were working with and that I was doing at that moment was called the Tenkai. I was just fiddling around with a card, and they were, one of the guys was kind of watching my hands, and I tossed it to him, and he thought I had actually tossed it at him, and he kind of freaked out. And he's like, what the hell happened to the card? Well, I just made it vanish. And it's just called a Tenkai. I'm going to show you what it is. A Tenkai palm is the basis of it, which is, again, palming. A classic palm is there. I never use it because I've got windows in my fingers a mile wide, and you can see them. Tenkai palm is down here. And what it is, it's in the middle part of your hand, right up against the fleshy bit. And then the thumb comes around and crooks down on it. So from most angles, that thing is gone. And you have freedom to put it on the table, and you can bring it out. And I'll show you how that works. You have the card with your middle finger in the front, index finger on the back of it. And what you're going to do is, as you're coming back, you're literally just going to put it in that part of your hand and bring your thumb down and then hold it there. And then you have it with the motion. And like I used to do with credit cards when I worked at stores, with their card, and they'd kind of freak out a little bit. But right there. And so I'd walk around, and here's how I'd practice this. I'd literally just put a card there, and I'd walk around the store. I'd walk around the mall with my wife, and just with a card palmed, and just got the feel of it. If my wife was driving and I needed something to distract me from the screams of pedestrians, I would just sit and work on this and do that as she was driving. So once again, you just hold it, put it there, and let go. So that's called the Tenkai palm. And if you make it nice and just kind of nonchalant, like you throw it over there, they'll go, whoa, and you just bring your hands down and rest on the table. You can let it go to the lap. That thing is gone. So that is the Tenkai palm from Ishida Tenkai, mid-1930s. I learned it from Rocco Solano, who is quite possibly one of the best magicians ever, and a good friend, and he was just brilliant with this. He could take multiple cards and then they'd be gone. But I learned it from him. He's got a lot of great videos on that and other kind of card manipulations. I'll put a link to him down in the description. Rocco, buddy, thanks for all you've done for me. It's been an amazing couple of decades hanging out with you. I really appreciate it. So if you have any further questions on that or on the crosscut, feel free to leave me a comment. I hope that this is of a little bit of use to you. So thank you, everybody, for spending a little bit of time with me today. Again, please like, share, subscribe. It gives me motivation to do more of these. I have a lot of ideas, not just for magic, but for all kinds of other videos that I want to do in this series. Let me know what you'd like to see. Let me know if you have any questions about this, any concerns, or if you're wildly angry about something and want to yell at me. Feel free. I'm open to listen. But I hope you get something out of this. I hope you get to learn a little bit. And thanks to my friends who helped me put this all together and gave me permission to do this and that. I hope to see you again very soon on the next one. And until then, may all your 20s be natural. Have a good day.